Good evening, professionals. Today we are going to see one of the very recent topics, interesting and having impact in all our businesses because this new Companies Amendment Act is notified, which is as latest as 28 September. The Amendment Act clearly mentioned that it shall come into force on the day when it is published in the official gazette, and it is published in MCA site also at the effective date being 28 September 2020. In this Domestic Corporate Club webinar series, during Wednesdays, we have already reviewed the provisions of Companies Amendment Bill 2020 during the month of April. But since this act has now been given effect to, we are going to have a quick recap on all those provisions which were already there in the bill, and also understand the rationale behind the changes, and to see what was the primary focus of the CLC, the Company Law Committee, while submitting its report, headed by Mr. Injeti Srinivas, the Secretary of MCA, and how the various recommendations of CLC are given effect to in the form of Companies Amendment Act 2020. With this brief introduction, let's get into today's webinar, friends. Please stop me if you have any questions on the subject. I shall be glad to take it. My sincere thanks to Mr. Sundar and Aishwarya for this detailed presentation. These are various legends used in today's presentation for our internal reference and future use. Today's agenda will be to have a brief overview to discuss about the focus of CLC with its various recommendations, together with the amendments where the imprisonment is removed. And we will also try to understand the key difference between fine and penalty, which will help us to appreciate why in several places there is an amendment shift rather from the word fine to penalty. And also we will be able to appreciate that the consolidated penalty which was previously imposed for both companies and officers in default, now there is a split, because of which you have a higher penalty for companies and a reduction in the penalty for officers in default. In certain instances, we are going to see those relevant sections as well, where there is a split, and then we will understand as to why there is a split. Powers given to central government in various sections. Now the power is given to central government, which is a key blessing for ease of living to various corporates, because rights issue is a place where the companies normally use that as an avenue for fundraising. Thanks to the various committees' recommendations, that now we see the light of this particular implementation, where central government will be granted the power to reduce the timeline, where under 62(1)(c) we have all read that it is 15 to 30 days for time for this rights issue timeline, and central government is now empowered to determine for certain class of companies. We are going to see that relevant provision, and in several other places under the act you see the reference drawn to central government, where relaxations, exemptions, privileges are given to various class of companies, including your unlisted company, certain class of foreign companies, companies incorporated outside India, when they have to comply with specific chapter provisions, and also with regard to public companies when it comes to rights issue. And of course, we will see certain key provisions which are amended, like introduction of the governance and compliance framework for producer companies. Of course, the essence as enshrined in the Companies Act 1956 is being retained under Companies Act 2020 amendment. The rationale behind this amendment is, we all are aware, that is to facilitate the ease of living to law-abiding corporates and to decriminalize certain offences. CLC, Company Law Committee, was constituted on 18 September 2019. The committee, headed by Injeti Srinivas, submitted its report on 14th November 2019, a detailed report with its primary focus, various key recommendations, the rationale, and the proposed changes. Of course, its primary focus was decriminalization of offences, and we all or aware that the in-house adjudication mechanism is now in place. What do you mean by in-house adjudication mechanism, friends? For various companies, when there is a violation of the provision, the in-house, the MCA, the regulator, will determine the penalty, and the moment the forms are uploaded, you need not wait for NCLT or any governing authority to prescribe the fine. Upon uploading these forms into MCA, MCA will have the prerogative right to determine the penalty for each such offense over and above your additional fee which we are going to pay if there is going to be any delayed filing, which will be an auto-populated number. Over and above that, ROC or regional director will be empowered to determine for these offenses. That is in-house adjudication mechanism. Governance framework for producer companies. So there is a separate chapter 21A for all these producer companies. We are going to see the key aspects to this, and recommendations are primarily governing further ease of living. If you see the speak while Madam Nirmala Sitharaman made her speech before Rajya Sabha for approval, she said that for reduction of compliance burden for MSMEs, this bill is being proposed for approval, and more importantly, to promote ease of living to all the corporates. And right time during this unprecedented situation, this particular bill has become an act, and thanks for various initiatives. Many of these provisions are welcoming steps. Of course, it would be nice if we have several notifications which are yet to be released under your Companies Amendment Act 2017-2019 also being implemented, so that we will have better clarity about all these provisions with encompassing amendments for our day in and day out compliance activities. Lok Sabha passed this bill on 19 September, Rajya Sabha on 22nd September, and it received President's assent on 28 September. And once it was published in the official gazette, it came into force on 28 September. The amendments which we are going to see now in category A will be removal of imprisonment in many sections. For the benefit of audience, the earlier provision in the Act is also provided in the comparative chart. Section 8, formation of companies with charitable objects. We know the erstwhile Section 25 company has now become Section 8 companies, where if you notice, the director and every officer in default were liable for imprisonment as well. Thankfully now the word imprisonment is removed after Companies Amendment Act 2020. Similarly, for matters to be stated in prospectus under Section 26, where every person who is knowingly a party to this prospectus shall be punishable with imprisonment up to 3 years, is now removed. 40, for securities to be dealt with in stock exchange, where securities again draws reference to your Section 2H of Securities Contract Regulation Act. Here, every officer who is in default shall be punishable with imprisonment up to 1 year. Now, only the fine of 50,000 up to a maximum of 3 lakhs is retained. Variation of shareholders' right, thankfully omitted. 59, rectification of register of members. Again, this particular punishment is dropped. Power of company to purchase its own securities, which is your buyback, where the imprisonment is removed and the particular fine provision of 1 lakh to 3 lakhs is retained. Debentures, default in complying with tribunal's order. I'm not sure why this particular provision is removed, because when it comes to default in debentures instruction given by tribunal, they say that this particular default by the company, the offense what was prescribed earlier is removed. We have to see why this particular subsection is removed rather. Books of accounts to be kept by the company. Here MD, whole-time director who is in charge of finance, chief financial officer, or any other person who is in charge of this particular activity and entrusted of this activity by the board shall be punishable with imprisonment up to 1 year. Now you have only a fine of 50,000 to 5 lakhs. 147, where again the imprisonment is removed both for 147 and 145 if you see, where it is for non-compliance of various obligations with regard to your appointment of auditor under 139, 143. where you obtain the consent from the auditor, providing his eligibility, confirming that he is well within the eligibility norms, and also as prescribed in Rule 4.2 of your company's Auditors Rule Chapter 10 and 144 and 145. Also, where if you see 143 alone, they have retained, but 139, 145, 145, 144, sorry, all these contraventions, there is a fine which is prescribed from 25,000 to 5 lakhs or 4 times the remuneration of auditor, whichever is lower. Thus, the contravention for 143, you still have the existing provisions. Vacation of office of director, such director was previously punishable for imprisonment. Now it is not the case. Powers of tribunal for contravening the order given by the tribunal under section 242, there was imprisonment earlier, now it is removed. Consequences of termination or modification of certain agreements, where every officer who is in default was punishable with imprisonment, which is dropped. Here section 302 not for removal of imprisonment, but here the penalty itself is removed. Just for that particular comparison, we have included in this comparative chart. If you see, forwarding of the company's tribunal's order, that is the company liquidator, upon receipt of the order, shall forward it to the registrar relating to the dissolution of the company, and for default in complying with these provisions, this company liquidator was earlier liable. Now this particular penalty is removed, is what we wanted to bring it to your kind attention. Disposal of books of accounts. Here, contravention to these provisions, imprisonment is removed, and contravening for provision for companies incorporated outside India, the foreign companies, where imprisonment is removed, a welcome move. Compounding of certain offences, any officer or employee of the company who fails to comply with any order made by tribunal or regional director or any other authority authorized by central government, here imprisonment again removed. So we just completed category A, where you saw the reduction of removal of imprisonment. Now we will see a shift from fine to penalty. Let's first understand the significant difference between the terminologies fine and penalty, so that we'll be able to appreciate why these amendments are proposed in the Act. Fine is when the court orders to pay for an offence. Penalty is where the court proceedings are not awaited, and for any non-compliance, a penalty is imposed. Thus, the common criteria is you breach the provisions of any law or violate the provisions. That is the common criteria for both on fine and penalty. That is the similarity. But the requirements are here, you will be waiting for an order from the court, but for penalty, you are not going to wait for an order. And regulator thus may levy penalty directly on these defaulting companies. So companies better be compliant to avoid these direct penalties being imposed by the in-house adjudication mechanism channels. Let's see one illustration here. A beneficial owner, a person fails to make a declaration under section 89, which is your MGT 4 or 5. Then the company makes the filing under MGT 6. So then this person, suo moto, is failing to file such declaration within a period of 30 days. He shall be liable to a maximum fine of 50,000, and for continuing offence 1,000 for every day. And for this levying penalty, earlier you had to wait for the instructions of NCLT. Now ROC, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, is empowered to levy the penalty up to 50,000 and for every day of this continuing offence 200 up to a maximum of 5 lakhs. This is the revised penalty we are going to see in the subsequent slides, friends. So this will be the revised penalty which will be imposed by virtue of the amended provisions. Likewise, the PCS who failed to certify his annual return in compliance with the provisions of section 92 was liable earlier with a fine ranging from 50,000 to 5 lakhs. But now ROC or MCA Upon the company filing this MGT7 together with MGT8, the annual returns, which they are supposed to do along with the certification by PCS, if they find that it is not in compliance with the provisions, then they can suo moto levy the penalty. And again, there is a reduction in the penalty, if you notice, from 5 lakhs to 2 lakhs without any references from external authorities. Friends, stop me if you have any doubts till this particular slide. The impact of the amendment is thus. Earlier provision, non-compliance was made good by approaching NCLT, and in 1956 Act, all of us were approaching the Company Law Board and paying the fine after receipt of particular notice from ROC MCA or the company suo moto on its own making an application before NCLT. In certain scenarios, we have also observed that ROC MCA may issue notices imposing fine without waiting for the authorities' instructions, be it CLB or NCLT. But under the current provisions, ROC can levy penalty immediately upon filing on MCA portal in addition to the late fees which the company pays at the time of delay in filing. If you see all these provisions, the fine, there is a significant reduction in the penalty. There is a shift from fine to penalty, point number 1. And in point number 2, which we have to notice, is the split, which we already discussed in the introduction. There is a split between company and officer in default to distinguish between these two penalties. Companies, there is a different penalty. For officer in default, there is a reduction in the penalty which is imposed. And also in certain cases, we see a reduction in the amount, like your section 92 violation, where there is a reduction from 5 lakhs to 2 lakhs. Transfer and transmission. Company was earlier liable with a fine from 25,000 to 5 lakhs. Now the penalty is 50,000 only. And for officer in default, 10,000 to 1 lakhs. Now it is 50,000. For punishment under section 86, again, there is a reduction from the maximum fee of 10 lakhs to 5 lakhs. And imprisonment is removed. Register of members, again, there is a shift from fine to penalty. 89, we already discussed the declaration of beneficial interest, where you have this particular reduction in the fine, which has become a penalty of 200 for every day of continuing offense, up to a maximum of 5 lakhs. Previously, for continuing default, you had to pay 1,000 for every day. Not only that, when the company fails to file, which is its obligation under MGT6, upon receipt of MGT4 and 5 from the persons who submit the declaration, the company and every officer in default, they were subject to fine earlier. Now it is a penalty. And for officer in default, the penalty is reduced. While it is a company, it is 5 lakhs maximum. For officer in default, it is up to a maximum of 2 lakhs. Register of SBO, the significant beneficial owners, which was subsequently introduced after Companies Act 2013. And we have all these SBO forms where the imprisonment terminology is now removed and there is a shift from fine to penalty, and both imprisonment and fine thus stands dropped. Annual return for company and every officer, the penalty was 50,000. Now it is reduced to 10,000. And for PCS, the company secretary is going to certify under subsection 6. There was a fine imposed up to a maximum of 5 lakhs. There is a reduction to 2 lakhs. Proxies, again, there is a shift from fine to penalty. Unpaid dividend account. A company, we all are aware that there is an obligation to, after this particular deposit, which is retained for 30 days, after the expiry of the period, it shall be deposited in a separate account called UPA, unpaid dividend account, and the company which is violating the provisions as enshrined in 124, there was a fine prescribed. Now there is a penalty up to 1 lakh. So there is a significant reduction reduction from 5 to 10, 25 lakhs to 1 lakh. And for continuing offense, it is 500 up to a maximum of 10 lakhs. And for companies where this obligation of financial statement boards report, the annual compliances are not adhered to, the imprisonment is removed and the fine is shifted to penalty, and there is a significant reduction from the maximum fine of 25 lakhs to a maximum penalty of 3 lakhs. Again, officer in default is not clubbed together with company and his liability will be restricted only to 50,000. 143, powers and duties of auditors and accounting standards. Again, there is a shift. And 172, for company and every officer, it was a common penalty up to a maximum of 5 lakhs. Now, for company, it is 3 lakhs and for officer, it is 1 lakh. And 178, non-compliance, where a company fails to adhere to the NRC and SRC, the committees to be constituted under 178, company shall be punishable with a fine up to a maximum of 5 lakhs. It is retained as 5 lakhs, but now it has become a penalty. Hence, ROC can take up this matter directly. And every officer in default, his penalty is only up to 1 lakh, reduction from the fine of 5 lakhs. 184, disclosure, again, fine of 1 lakh is moved to penalty and imprisonment is thankfully removed. And investments which are held by the company in its own name, company was earlier punishable up to a maximum of 25 lakhs fine. Now it is a penalty of up to 5 lakhs. Related party transactions, imprisonment is removed. And for fine, 25,000 to 5 lakhs in case of any company or with both in case of listed companies. But in the case of amendment, now it is only a penalty up to 25 lakhs in case of listed companies and 5 lakhs in case of any other company. Secretarial audit, if the company is not going to have the secretarial audit done for those prescribed threshold class of companies as stipulated in your 204 read with chapter 13, the fine was up to a maximum of 5 lakhs. Now it is a penalty up to 2 lakhs. And mergers and amalgamation, imprisonment is removed and valuer was under 247 punishable with a fine up to 1 lakh. Now it is only a penalty up to 50,000. In several places, there is declogging of powers of NCLT. When you ask me the question of declogging of powers of NCLT, they have shifted the thrust of NCLT to look into all these judicial matters. And when it comes to purely company law administrative matters, the power is now shifted from NCLT to ROC-RD. Not only decriminalization of offences, but also declogging of the powers have happened. Over and above your in-house adjudication mechanism, which is strengthened. 405, 450, similar provisions of shift from fine to penalty. We are now going to see the empowered provisions for central government. Certain class of companies, central government is empowered to remove from the definition of listed company. Here comes the biggest blessing for all the private companies. More importantly, all the financial institutions, for meeting their capital adequacy requirement, they will be issuing debentures. And these debentures will be listed in most of the cases. And where it comes to listed securities, by virtue of the definition under Companies Act, they were also obligated to comply with many of the provisions and hence to grant exemption and privileges for these companies. Here comes the welcome move of providing exemption to these class of companies, not the companies where there is public funds involved. In case of private companies or those class of companies which will be prescribed by central government after consultation with SEBI, there they are very clear, because SEBI has the authority as far as the listed entities are concerned. So in consultation with SEBI, central government will be prescribing and granting exemption to all these class of companies and removing them from the definition of listed company, and hence several provisions including a secretarial order on many other mandatory provisions will not be applicable for all these companies, because the word listed entity, when it as provided in Constitution of NRC or several other places, these companies, though they are not falling within the threshold ambit, they are required to constitute these committees or required to carry out all these audits. To give lenience to these class of companies, they are providing this particular specific amendment. And if you see chapter 22, where the companies incorporated outside India, the foreign companies, they actually have lot of formalities when it comes to compliance, and hence to provide relaxation to these class of companies, here comes a specific direction that the central government is empowered to exempt any such class of foreign companies or companies incorporated or to be incorporated outside India, but subject to notification of these exempted class of companies, which will be laid before both houses of parliament, and upon their approval only this will be provided. We have to wait and watch as to which are those class of companies. Then to mandate certain class of unlisted companies to prepare periodic financial results. Here comes a measure of corporate governance. Till now, we have observed that only listed entities were preparing quarterly financial results backed with their limited review or auditor's report when it comes to annual audited financial results. And hence every quarter they were submitting all these financial results to the stock exchanges for dissemination of information. And these unlisted companies, when they have certain threshold of turnover or when they are interested in the public funds, because of protecting the stakeholders, this particular measure is recommended by the committee, and it is also brought into effect in the Companies Amendment Act, whereby over and above the listed companies, these unlisted companies will also be mandated to prepare their financial results with the limited review or audit report and to submit it before the registrar within 30 days. We have to see those class of companies which are going to be categorized by central government. To allot a new name to any company having similar name. Here comes section 16, where I am a company, say ABC Private Limited, incorporated way back in 1980s. There is a new company, ABC1 Private Limited, which is requesting for allotting its name during the year 2020. This allotment of new name, which is having similar name already in existence. There under 16, you were provided for pre-penal provisions as well. But now the central government is given the direction to allot a new name to this company and issue fresh certificate of incorporation due to rectification of this name of the company to liberalize and provide a good measure for ease of compliance to compliant companies. This particular measure is brought in place to exempt certain class of persons from complying with section 89 relating to beneficial interest. We already discussed that there are several amendments relating to reduction in the penalty as provided for MGT4, MGT filing. Not only that, even upon submission by these persons declaring their beneficial interest, the company's penalty also we saw a significant reduction or shift from fine to penalty. But now central government is empowered to exempt certain class of persons from complying with these filing requirements as well, and to allow class of public companies. This is one of the key notable amendment, friends. Here certain class of securities for public companies, specified categories of public companies, they are now empowered to list on stock exchange in international arena. And these companies will be provided the privilege or the benefit of taking exemption from the provisions of chapter 3-4, which is your share capital and debenture rules or your prospectus. All these provisions 18 and 90, your declaration of beneficial interest, 90, your SBO, significant beneficial ownership position, which is a welcome move from the Companies Amendment Act. Section 127, which is your failure to distribute the dividend when you are not complying with the provisions with regarding your distribution of dividend. So all these provisions, we have to wait and watch. those class of companies, public companies, which are going to be prescribed for entailing them to list their securities in the foreign jurisdiction. This is again a positive amendment to reduce the time limit of offer to be kept open for less than 15 days. We all are well aware that the minimum timeline is 15 to 30 days as far as 62(1)(c) is concerned, which means though the company, I am XYZ company, and my existing shareholders are interested in my working capital requirement or my capital adequacy requirement or in my growth prospects, and the moment I issue my letter of offer, immediately the next day I'm getting the money. But unfortunately, because of 62(1)(c), I am supposed to wait for a minimum period of 15 days and a maximum period of 30 days because the act does not provide for any relaxation there. And hence the money is left idle in the specified bank account of the company without being utilized for the object for which the fund was raised. To overcome this particular hurdle, here comes the welcome move of central government being empowered to prescribe or to reduce this time limit of offer to be kept open for less than 15 days in the case of rights issue. And central government power is also prescribed in the case of producer companies, the new chapter as provided in Companies Amendment Act, for shifting of registered office from one state to another, or for investment of these producer companies for a value exceeding 30% of their paid up capital together with free reserves in companies other than producer company, which is the keynote to be observed. And to set up additional number of NCLAT benches, central government is now empowered. We will also see certain miscellaneous provisions now, friends. Section 135. While we are already awaiting certain other amendment acts notification under section 135, this particular Companies Amendment Act 2020 has given effect to certain changes. These changes are again welcome changes, because for those companies where the amount to be spent does not exceed 50 lakhs, they say that the companies need not constitute CSR committee. The board approval is as good as CSR committee approval. And set of provision is provided where it says if a company spends in excess of CSR, required CSR spending, such company may set off such excess amount to spend under section 135(5) for such number of succeeding financial years. So this is a welcome move because companies are provided this set of facility when they are going to spend over and above their requirement, because their financials are very sound in one particular year, and that could be certainly adjusted in the coming years. And penal provision, twice the amount required to be transferred by the company to the fund specified under section Schedule 7, section 135, the unspent CSR account or 1 crore, whichever is less. And every officer who is in default, the penalty is 1/10 of the amount required to be transferred to the funds as specified in your Schedule 7 unspent CSR account, or 2 lakhs. Thankfully, again, officer is relieved because his penalty is reduced. It is not 1 crore, it is 2 lakhs, whichever is less, of course. Independent directors, friends, the percentage contribution, to answer your question, hopefully there is no change. Independent directors may receive remuneration exclusive of any fee payable in accordance with the provisions of Schedule 5 if a company has no profits. Friends, independent directors are providing their time, effort, and qualitative inputs to the companies, and hence to recognize their time and effort, and when there is an equal liability which is waiting for them if there is going to be a violation, the committee felt that it is rightful to provide them with a reward by providing remuneration even if the company has no profits or inadequate profits. This particular amendment is a key welcome move and appreciated by many independent directors, non-executive directors on the board. Filing resolution. Thankfully for NBFCs, HFCs, we have seen the light of the day of not filing this MGT 14, because banking companies, originally under Companies Act, they were exempt from filing this MGT 14 with respect to any resolution which is passed for granting loans or giving guarantees or providing securities. Friends, NBFCs or HFCs are no way different from banking companies, because for them again, day in and day out, lending money is going to be the key business. Having said that, why should they be filing the resolutions whenever there is going to be a board approval? To avoid this particular repeated filing and to keep them in equal footing for with banking companies, this welcoming amendment is proposed and implemented. Again, for inadequate profits, NEDs are provided equal footing with managing director, full-time director or manager, because in section 197 earlier you had this provision of WTD or manager, but now we have inserted this non-executive director. If a company fails to make profit or inadequate profit in a financial year, any NED including ID shall be paid remuneration in accordance with schedule 5 of the act. Welcoming move. Lesser penalties for certain companies. A very good amendment, because there should not be additional burden for one-person companies, small companies, startup companies and producer companies, and they should not be treated on par with all other listed entities or public companies or private companies. To give them a lesser burden, this 446B provides for the penalty payable by these companies, including their officers in default, shall be not more than one half of the normal penalty which is imposed for the other companies, subject to a maximum. It is excellent that they have provided a maximum cap as well of 2 lakhs for company and 1 lakh in the case of officer in default or any other person. Finally, we have producer companies. Friends, producer company, the provisions are well retained in tandem with your provisions under Companies Act 1956. A new chapter is introduced which entails the provisions of these producer companies from 378A to ZU. But there is also a final provision which says that if any question arises where there is a dispute with regard to the formation, promotion or management of the businesses of these producer companies, it shall be referred to arbitrator and his decision shall be final. So this is a concluding note as provided in that respective chapter, friends. I'll be glad to take your questions, otherwise we will conclude this session. The key significant amendments which are introduced in Companies Amendment Act 2020. Yeah, sure, we will see. See, one, the beneficial interest provision, you will have it in section 89. Where under section 89, there is a declaration to be provided by all these individual persons. When you talk about individual persons, they have to submit their respective forms in MGT 4.5 to the companies. When these individuals fail to make such declaration, for example, let's understand this with an illustration. Aarti Private Limited, where you have two members. One, a company holding 99% and another, which is Aarti, individual, holding it on behalf of that 99% foreign holder. The foreign holder, we could call it XYZ, INC, which is situated in US. This Aarti is holding the shares on behalf of this XYZ INC, because we all are aware this for a private limited company to comply with the minimum statutory requirement, you need 2 members, and hence 100% held by this particular XYZ Inc. However, to comply with additional member, the 2 number criterion, they are nominating this person Aarti as a beneficial holder. This Aarti's obligation as a person will be to submit MGT 4. The 4 and 5 will be like the beneficial owner declaration and the registered members declaration. So jointly by these 2 members. If they fail to submit this declaration, which is in the instant case Aarti and the other person XYZ, there was a fine imposed up to 50,000 and 1,000 for every day. But now there is a reduction to a penalty of 50,000 and 200 for every day. 1,000 is reduced now to 200. And this particular, upon receipt of this particular filing, MGT 4 and 5, the company is under obligation pursuant to section 89(7) to submit this with registrar. So the first one is internal submission by these individuals or the INC to the company, and then the company onward submission is specified in subsection 7, 89(7), where they have to submit it within 30 days. Failing to do so, this company and every officer in default, your key managerial personnel, company secretary, CFO, whoever is considered to be an officer in default, shall be punishable with fine earlier. Now it is a penalty. Next comes your provision of SBO, Register of Significant Beneficial Owners. Such persons who fail to make declaration, they were subject to imprisonment earlier and also with a fine of 1 lakh to 10 lakhs. When you fail to make the declarations, we have seen in our earlier webinars about your BEN 1, BEN 2, BEN 3, BEN 4, all these forms which have to be filed again, similar to your MGT 4, 5, 6, internal submission by these persons who are holding beneficial ownership in the company. They will be submitting internal reporting to the company, and company will do onward reporting to MCA. And there is a register for declaring these SBOs, we call them. So when this obligation is not fulfilled, previously you had a fine, now it is shifted to penalty. And over and above this particular removal of imprisonment, transition from fine to penalty, you also have additional exemption or privilege rather given to these companies, where we have to wait and watch those class of companies where central government will be exempting them from complying with the regulation of section 89 relating to beneficial interest, which means not only reduction in penalty, we will see some startup companies or small companies, how central government is going to classify these companies who will be exempt from complying with the obligations under section 89. Hope I have clarified your doubt, Upli. Okay, fantastic, friends. With this, we will conclude today's session. Thank you very much. Take care, stay positive, and stay safe.